We're live again tonight, and tonight I thought I titled today's video talking about tax havens, and not that I know a whole lot about them. I'm open to learning along with everyone else. I know just about as much about all this as you guys do, but I've been doing a lot of research on it recently and trying to learn more. More and more, the economic and political climate sphere here in Canada is just not that attractive. I'm finding that there's, I don't know how to put it, but it's a different Canada than it used to be. So one thing I announced that I thought I would do, which would be fun for those people who might want to do it, is, hey Eric, how you doing? Welcome everyone who's joining on, is let's go somewhere. I don't know where, I'll leave it up to you guys. Maybe, I thought it'd be Costa Rica, probably not Costa Rica. Maybe it's the Cayman Islands. Maybe it's some Caribbean country. Maybe it's Puerto Rico. I'm not a huge fan of Puerto Rico because the hurricane season is really rough there, but there's lots of options where places we can go. I will rent a private jet, call it 20 people on a private jet, and we'll probably leave from Canada, and we'll get on a private jet, and we'll go somewhere. I don't know where, but one of the criteria is it'd be fun to go somewhere where I actually want to immerse in the culture and learn about real estate there and learn about everything, really. So it's one of those things where I don't want to go to a country and learn about that country if it isn't somewhere I want to end up in my winters. I don't want to waste the trip. Time is valuable. So I want to pick somewhere that has great tax laws. So by the way, I'm open to suggestions. That's great tax laws. Ideally, no tax at all. That would be ideal. Also, safety is huge. Can I bring my 3 young kids there and will they be safe? Costa Rica level safety, or some, ideally a developed nation. The Cayman Islands continues to come up. It's come up for a while now as a place that has no property taxes, no income tax, no corporate tax, no tax. I don't even think you have to file a tax return. Which is kind of cool. So anyway, I would love to go somewhere warm. Obviously, it has to be a tropical, beautiful place. I've been following a few people like Nomad Capitalists that speak on the topic, and I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know where we should be going. I know that Costa Rica right now just implemented really strict vaccine passport rules. Not that I'm against the vaccine, but I am feeling like it's, I don't know. You can't even buy a bottle of water at a grocery store now in Costa Rica post the new mandate. Even if I did want to get my booster shot first it'll be 6 months or 8 months, then it'll be every 4 months. Then they'll, it's sort of a profit scheme. So they'll find a way to inject us more and more often, right? It's not just going to stop with 3 or 4 or 5 vaccines. It'll be for life, right? And I just don't want to be on a system where I have to get injected every few months and carry around, just in principle. I don't really care. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, that believes that there's anything evil in these vaccines. There probably is a very low chance that you develop complications like myocarditis is an issue with some of the vaccines, especially with people from 18 to 30 years old who are male. I think there's probably a higher risk of developing issues if you're in certain categories than actually developing issues with COVID. COVID is not a big deal. If you're under 30, healthy, it's not a pandemic. It's nothing. You can count the number of people in Canada that have died on your hands that didn't have any other pre-existing health conditions. It isn't killing healthy people. It's killing old people who make all the decisions and the rules, and they're afraid because they know the vaccine isn't 100% effective. It's one of those things where, I don't know. I don't know where to go, but I do know that my tax income my taxable income will continue to rise forever, and it's going to start breaking 7 figures, and it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to start having to pay at some point 7 figures in tax. It's inevitable as I continue to grow. Compound interest is such that if you live relatively frugally like I do, continue to grow and invest, you end up in a situation where you get richer and richer every year. That's just how our capitalist system works. Money begets more. And I just don't want to be in a society where there's a looming fear of a wealth tax, of an asset tax, of kill landlords, and there's a growing millions in these leftist groups that post memes like cut the heads off landlords. That's a growing energy here in Canada. And, I have family that's part of that circle. And they're like, hey, like, you need to get out of Dodge, Mike. You don't want to be a landlord 20 years from now in the Canada where the youth that currently have this leftist viewpoint, are now in power and now have a voting majority. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be in a communist or socialist country. I've seen how that's played out. Even in naturally, where there's naturally good resources to harvest so that the nation's wealthy overall, it still isn't that great. So I'm open to suggestions. If you have any questions too, just in general on the show, feel free to, throw them in the comments. Happy to answer them. If we do a shorter show tonight, I'm cool with that too. It's one of those things where, I don't know. I just am tired of the energy here in Canada. And so I think in the next 5 years, I'm going to leave Canada. I don't know. But the more that I listen to the energy of the majority in politics here in Canada, the more that I continue to grow as an individual. And again, like, my aspirations are to continue to grow. And if my aspirations were to stop, retire, and keep my income low, okay, I could see how, being in Canada, you get free healthcare. I could see how, if you're smart about it and you collect just dividends, you can collect $50,000 per person in, and by the way, that's tax-free, right? $50,000 a person in dividend income tax-free here in Canada. So there is a way to sort of exploit the Canadian tax system, and that's, what I was all about before I made videos on that. Not exploit, but use what is given to us. The Canadian government has written in the tax code, corporations have already paid tax. If they then pay a dividend out to the people, and it's an eligible dividend, you get a credit back for the tax paid by the corp. And so if your income is less than $50,000, and that's your only source of income, as an individual collecting dividends from Canadian eligible companies, you would get a tax credit equal to, or in some cases you can get, a little bit of money back collecting dividends. So you could collect, like $100,000 a year between a couple, 50,000 each, and it would be entirely tax-free. And then you have your tax-free savings accounts, which are now probably, if you're the average person, you got 100,000 and you've maxed out your TFSA over the years, your 6,000 a year contribution. Started as 5,000, it was 10,000 at one point, down to 5,500, whatever. But the point is, if you max that out and invested it in the basic S&P 500, you get about $100,000 per person. That's another $200,000, which you could private lend at, say, 12% against, real estate, relatively safe, good cash flow, tax-free. There's another, I don't know, let's call it another $20,000 right there. So you've got $120,000 in income, plus what you can put in your RRSP and draw down from that carefully. Plus, here in Canada, your primary residence is totally tax-free. So again, this is not advice. This is just like, go research it for yourself and verify for yourself that it's true. I'm saying nothing. I'm just sharing what I've uncovered. But your primary residence is also tax-free. So you live in a house for 5-10 years, it doubles in value. All of that is, again, tax-free. So Canada's a pretty sweet country where you could pay zero tax if you don't work, if you've got assets and you're living off the dividends and you've structured it properly. You could, live a lean retirement lifestyle to almost tax-free. So Canada's a great place to be if you're, let's say in the top half, but you're not in the top 1%. Once you get into the top 1%, Canada sucks. Like, you start breaking $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year in income, and you want to draw that out of your corp and have it in your personal name, you're looking at 30, 35% tax effective after corp and personal tax rates. And it varies for every person, and you got write-offs and things, but that's effectively what you're paying. Worst case scenario, 55% at the top marginal bracket if you had no creative accounting, and you had no one working on your side. 55%, that's insane. Like, why am I gonna give 55% away? I can go to anywhere called the Cayman Islands, and if you're a 7-figure entrepreneur, guess what? The tax savings alone pay for you to have a little mansion down there with the staff. Why would you stay in Canada and fund everything? And by the way, like, I'd be happy to stay and pay tax and fund things. I expect this year my tax bill will probably be $500,000-$600,000 in total across my corp and my personal. Our family tax will be about $500,000 bucks. That's a lot of tax to pay in a year. 500 grand could lease me literally mansions, multiple of them, resorts down somewhere in a tax haven, right? So, and again, I'm okay paying that tax. I like Canada. My family's here. I understand the culture. I'd like it less and less. The culture is less and less how I want my kids growing up, but it's very much like a handout type culture. It's very much like a more relaxed, less entrepreneurial growth mindset type culture. And it is, again, more about lockdowns and things, which, again, not a huge fan of. But what was I saying? So I lost my train of thought here. It'd be fine if the culture was like, hey, let's celebrate these people who are paying for our entire healthcare system. Because, by the way, the top 1% pay like 80% of the entire tax bill. They pay for the medical system, the roads, they pay for everything. So why don't we celebrate these people? Because they're employing everyone, they're pushing the economy forward, they're innovating, and guess what? They're picking up the tab. No. It's like death to those people in Canada. There's very much a mentality of like, we hate the 1%. So why would you want to be, I like how Nomad Capitalist puts it, go where you're treated best. So let's go where we're treated best. And plus, just being in the sunshine is so nice. Like being on a nice, beach somewhere, that sounds way, way better than a freezing winter here. So I don't know. Also, in other news, all my rental properties are for sale. So if you want to buy anything, if you want to JV on something, maybe there's compatibility there. I don't want to JV with someone I don't know, but maybe there's something there. If you can qualify for, say, a $700,000 mortgage or a $600,000 mortgage, you want to pick up one of my properties, you want me to put the down payment up, and we JV it, I'm open to that. I want all my stuff out of my name. I don't want to be filing tax returns in the next 5 years. So I'm working to sell everything off. It's not a super liquidation price. You're going to get market price. But all my properties are solid cash flowing properties. Some of them need a little bit more repair than others. All of them have been fixed up, but maybe a couple of years ago. So the tenants have lived in it for a couple of years. So it's not mint. Whenever you've had a tenant live in a property, no matter how mint or nice it is, a couple of years after, it's usually not as nice as it was before. There are exceptions to that rule, but 80% of the time, let's say. So yeah, some opportunities. Hit me up if you want to get the link. I got a link to each of the properties, just some basic information on them or whatever. If you're interested in that, hit me up on Instagram, Mike Rosehart, and if you're already following me on Instagram, hit me up there too. But yeah, let's go to the comment section and see what's up. I have nothing planned yet, really. I've thrown it out there. On Instagram, I got 180 responses to yes on the poll that were interested, at least, in joint venturing, or I guess getting together and renting a private jet and going somewhere fun. One, private jets, you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to go through the customs, all that crap. You don't have to risk getting COVID. And worse, you don't have to have vaccine or anything. Like there's no testing. You can get on a private flight, go where you want. It waits for you. We leave, we go. There's no stuck in a tube with 300 other people breathing all the same air. It's just nasty, right? Like in this environment, flying private is way safer, way more convenient. It's a little bit more, but if you have enough people and you get a group together, one, it's entirely tax deductible, which is sweet. If you buy if I make it like an event and I put it through my corp and I rent this jet and then I sell you a ticket, let's say the ticket's $5,000 and that covers your entire thing, you can write all that off and get half of it back. Guess what? I can do the same thing. We're there to mastermind. We're there to network. We're there to grow and to learn. It's a business trip with a lot of fun baked in, but it's a business trip. And so, that's part of what I'm wanting to do more of is a lifestyle. Businesses that, sort of accentuate or go along with nicely with my lifestyle. And real estate, at least, the buy and hold piece where I'm, managing a property manager, that isn't it anymore. Maybe that'll be it in some climate where there isn't a landlord-tenant board that is just raining on top of you. I was at the landlord-tenant board this week. Unfortunately, I got summoned to attend on a case from 2019. We sold the property over a year ago, well over a year ago. I think we engaged in selling it last summer, and then it ended up selling sometime about a year ago. And I'm still going to the landlord-tenant board. We waited all day. No one would hear our case. And it got kicked off to the next year after that. So it'll be next year that we're dealing with that. It's just, it's just one of those things I'm tired of. It's a great way to make money. Don't get me wrong, flipping real estate is still something I'll do as long as I'm in Canada, with an active partner who's doing all the work. But real estate's a good way to make money. You can grind it. You can go through evicting tenants and fighting with tenants and all of that, and you make a better return. There's no doubt. Like your return versus the S&P 500, you'll make more in real estate because leverage. You're levered 5 to 1. It's very low risk. If you buy cash flowing properties, your debt is entirely serviced. It's a great way to build wealth. Once you've got a good nest egg of wealth, there are a lot of ways to grow that wealth by buying businesses or investing in certain niche opportunities that don't require as much time investment, but you still get a great return that you can compound. So that's where I'm looking to focus my efforts now. Yeah. Let's do some Q&A though. Hey Eric, how you doing? LS, hey. Andrew says Colombia. I don't know anything about Colombia other than it sounds like a very drug cartel, not very safe place to go. Great if you're single, it sounds like, but maybe not so great with 3 young kids. So I don't know. I got to look into Colombia a bit more. I don't know what the rules are there, but yeah. LS says, sorry, typo, what's up, brother? Not too much. Tristan says, how much were you thinking for a budget? I don't even know. I haven't even planned it out at all. At least $5,000, I would think. You know, private plane is expensive, so probably in that range. I think you could probably charter a private 20-person jet for like $100,000. So you divide that out, it's like $5,000 a person. Families would be welcome if you want to bring your kids or whatever. That stuff's cool too. Probably rent like a nice mansion wherever we go, and we'll all stay together in like a huge mansion compound. Probably like some 12-bedroom or 15-bedroom mansion would be kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. Toronto's a tax haven. Good jokes. Costa Rica is nice. Bali is nice, but it might not be developed enough. Yeah, Tristan, another piece is like, what are the services and amenities like? Do they have high-speed internet? Does it feel like a, you know, somewhat safe and developed place? As an example, like Jamaica is a beautiful place, but there are areas of Jamaica that are not that safe. I think Costa Rica would be like a minimum safety level. Like there are a lot of countries that are less safe and have a worse medical system than say Costa Rica. That said, like Costa Rica doesn't have that great of a tax system. It is, you know, a tax efficient, we'll say. It's in the list usually of top 20, but it's not like Cayman Islands, zero tax, zero property tax. That's sort of the goal. The wealthier you become, you know, and then by the way, you make that, my understanding is you make that place home, but you can still go to Canada 3-4 months a year if you want to. You can spend the whole summer in Canada still, and then go to Europe and travel around, whatever, and then come back. You don't have to live in the Cayman Islands. You can be in the Cayman Islands as your residence and, you know, live there for maybe half the year, right? Or whatever. There's flexibility there, which is kind of cool. I think that sounds way better than being, you know, a resident here and having to travel. Kevin says Canada's tax system will be changing soon. It feels like that when you listen to the wind blow. It feels like it's going to be a lot different than it is now, especially with, you know, the divide that's happening between the haves and the have-nots. There's a lot of people who are collecting the, you know, COVID economic relief benefit, and it's called CERB, and now they don't want to work. I know a lot of entrepreneurs who can't find anyone to work. That's a problem when people don't want to, I don't know, it's just an issue. When people don't want to work anymore, there's just a sentiment of like, let's stay home and get money for free. Where does that come from? I don't want to live in a country that's like that. You know, myself personally, I don't know. But everyone's got their own take, what they want to do. And, you know, mine's just to get out of Dodge. I can't change the culture here. I'm just going to leave. I don't know when, but I know it's coming. Jeff says the vaccine rules in Costa Rica are not for tourists. So unless you believe COVID will never end, then don't worry about the boosters there. Interesting. I didn't know that. I'm sure that they will impose that. I've heard that, Jeff, the, you know, I just read an article and it said that, you know, having to show the vaccine QR thing was coming for tourists as well to enter gyms and spas and certain facilities. So it's possible that that gets enforced as well. So I don't know. Tristan, St. Vincent and Grenadines would be a good spot too. I haven't even looked into that. Someone sent me a private message about some of these places. If they have any information on it, I'd be curious to learn more. Kevin says, foreign chemicals in your body can't be a good thing over time. We're living in a conspiracy theory real time. Kevin, you know, in general, I agree. Like vaccines do have, you know, the conspiracy theorists for anti-vax do send out tons of content about like, you know, high levels of lead or aluminum inside the vaccines. But the truth is, you know, it's, your body's pretty good at getting rid of the bad things that it comes in contact with. So if you were to have some iodine or some, it naturally is found in like kelp or seaweed, your body can handle getting the small amounts of bad stuff that's there to preserve what's in the vaccine so it's effective. I don't think that's a reason really not to get it. That said, there are some negative effects coming out of this. It's highly untested. This was rushed. So there are negative side effects. And I don't know, I mean, I personally just don't want COVID in my body at all. That said, if I happen to come across it through natural immunity, great, then my body's stronger. It's probably, like, statistically speaking, it's as bad as the flu for me. Because of my age, I have a 0.0001% chance of death from it. So I literally have a higher chance of choking on my food or dying in a car accident when I get in the car or walking out in the rain and getting hit by lightning. Those are real risks, statistically more likely to kill me. Why am I not like chewing super carefully? Like there's a lot of other things that I should be preparing myself for, as opposed to that. Like people are getting super afraid of this, and it's like, okay, if you're a 60-year-old person, yeah. If you're 70 years old and you're double vaxxed, you should be worried. You shouldn't be going out to dinner. It will kill you, vaxxed or not. People are dying, left, right, and center with the vaccine. It's effective, but it's, I said this before and I'll say it again. The science actually suggests if you're a 20-year-old healthy male, you have a less chance of dying from COVID than if you're if you're unvaccinated 20-year-old male, than a 70 or 65-year-old double vaccinated individual. So if you're old and vaccinated, you're not safe, period. This will still kill you at a similar rate as someone who's young. And if you're young, vaxxed or unvaxxed, you're young, you're healthy, you're fine. Like, it's like the regular flu. Were you hiding under a rock for the last 20 years, every flu season? No. Like, we lived life. Life went on. We were fine. I don't know. It's a bit hyped, in my opinion. That's all. It's a bit hyped. And I get it. The people in power are old. And they're at risk. And so they're going to make rules that help them. And force vaccinations on all of the young, healthy people, it lowers the chance of transmission to them. It doesn't help the unhealthy people. It could give them myocarditis or other issues, but it does help the old person not get it as likely. There's a less likelihood of contracting it. That's it. It's selfishness of the old crowd who make most of the rules, unfortunately. Anyway, I'll continue on because I don't want to get down this rabbit hole. Do you really think it's the majority or just the loudest? Well, in our last election, it was just called a month ago, our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, did not receive the popular vote. In fact, Erin O'Toole, the Conservative leader, received the popular vote. So the majority of voters did not vote for Trudeau. But the way that our system is designed, it is first past the post. So if this guy in first in a riding wins by one vote, all the other votes didn't matter. And all that matters is that person is selected and they, form part of the party. So the way our political system is designed, it doesn't matter what the popular vote is. It matters who wins in what regions. And so if you have an area where 100% of the people voted for Conservative, that Conservative person will win. And in another riding where it was like 49-51, guess what? Then now all of a sudden you have, it looks the same, but way more people have voted because 100% plus 49 have voted for Conservative. There are actually way more people that voted Conservative, but each one would have an equal amount of representatives from the two areas. So just the way that it worked out. That said, there are a lot of votes left for NDP and Liberal. And I honestly think the way that Trudeau's kind of governed, and I was actually sort of a centrist in the sense that, I wasn't necessarily against a lot of the Liberal policies. I was kind of in the middle. I'm like, okay, it makes sense. A lot of the things that they're saying around education and healthcare, I agree with. All the stuff around, gay rights and whatever, I agree with all that stuff. Economically speaking, I am a little bit more, free market, right wing. Military-wise, again, I'm more liberal in that sense. But the Liberal Party that exists right now is not one that, it's just not one that, it doesn't feel like the same party as 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. It's very left-leaning now, and it's very much about control. And I even think the Conservative Party is pretty left-leaning these days. It just is the nature of Canada. People lean pretty far left. We're pretty leftist bunch. And I think I'm ready to disconnect in the next few years. I don't know, I might change my mind, but that's how I feel right now. It feels like not only are they loud, but the people that are, I don't know, I guess the bottom half, really. The bottom half of Canadians are struggling right now. And it's real. It starts with bad education. It, accumulates and compounds in, what's the word, like a lack of delayed gratification, a lack of, drive, a lack of purpose, a lack of just wanting to hustle and work. The bottom half don't want to work. And so they don't get ahead. And there's just a bad culture around that now. We're like, we don't promote enough, work hard and save and invest. And there's just not enough promotion about investing. We're in a consumeristic society where it's like you're rewarded to spend everything you have rather than save and invest it. And that's part of the problem. And the part of the problem is just people aren't elevating. They aren't putting in that extra bit of work to rise up. And you need to work harder to rise up. It's just how it is. So I don't know. It's tough times, Ryan. Tough times. Next one was Colombia. Bigger cities aren't drug cartel, just media BS. Interesting. I don't have any opinion really on it. What I've read is that it's not, the medical system isn't as good, and the health system isn't as, the overall crime rates are higher there, stuff like that. But I haven't looked into it. I don't know. I agree that it helps seniors the most. It does. It's true. Hey, LeVar. And then Corey says, Cayman Islands have Q rollover after 6 or 7 years, doesn't it? A rollover. I don't know what that even, I haven't really looked into the Cayman Islands a whole lot yet. I'm going to start diving into that. I don't know what a rollover is. I don't know. My understanding is that corps pay no tax at all there. And there is like a fee, I think you have to file every year, some sort of registration fee. That's it. I don't know if the next person says they don't know if they don't want to work. I believe it's more a lack of financial literacy. Mr. Pippin, another challenge is that income is just low. Like any person could at 17 or 18 pick up 2 jobs. You could work 6 days a week, work a 8 to 4 and then a 4 to 9, and you could grind and you get ahead. A minimum wage, you'd make 35 grand a year. Most people don't even do that. Most people are working 25 hours a week. They don't elevate, they stay in the same job, they don't put in the extra to get promoted. It's just, most people don't have that drive to pick up a side hustle after they get off work. They want to sit at home and be on Netflix and Facebook and Instagram. And part of the problem is Facebook and Instagram consuming their time and their energy. And part of it is the marketing giants pushing that you need the latest and greatest iPhone and this and that crap that you don't need. So then you're stuck in a cycle of working just to pay back the debt on the stuff that you bought, that it's all worth 0 in 10 years. So you're buying stuff that's worth 0 in 10 years instead of buying assets that are worth 10 times in 10 years. So that's the real problem, is that people are buying the wrong things, and that compounds over a lifetime of bad decisions. You end up broke at like 40 or in debt at 40, and that's a real problem. Whereas at 40, everyone should already be millionaires. If you work a minimum wage job at McDonald's at 17 years old, by 40 years old, if you don't have $2 million, you fucked up royally. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. Like, you work at Tim Hortons, McDonald's, whatever, and you have a good mindset, even if your income is low, and you side hustle a little bit, if you just invest that, the power of compound interest, right? It's all about, good mindset, but it is also about hard work. I won't talk about my own family, but like my own family, I have people in my family that are socialists who believe that they're like, hey, Mike, we don't need to work. I'm like, you're 25 years old, you don't need to work? I'm like, no, government will support us, it'd be all right, socialism. Ugh. I said 2 calls come in that froze my stream. I don't know if I'm still here. Can you guys hear me? Oh, I should have put on airplane mode before I did the stream here. Okay, I'm live again. Cool. Yeah, I mean, is it the system, or is it the people themselves? Everyone likes to blame the system because it's easy to blame. Hey, it's the system that's the fault. Maybe people should take some accountability too. Of course, the system's got some blame, but people have got some blame too. Like, too many people are getting up and snoozing their alarm and whatever, right? Like, people are the system. Agreed. There's a bad culture. You can blame the culture or blame the system. I don't know. I don't know what the truth is here or how do you get to the bottom of it. It's a very philosophical debate about how you solve these problems. A good part of it's got to be education. Another good part of it's got to be a change in culture. Yeah. So I don't know how to fix it. I think that that's not my life's mission. I'm trying to share good financial advice in hopes that people find it and can make a change. I grew up in poverty and I made a change. And I know lots of people who have found personal finance, have found, learning how to spend less and find ways to earn more money, and then they can then invest that and they make a life for themselves, right? It doesn't matter if you work minimum wage or what you do, you can get out of this. And it's about a mindset shift first and foremost. Education, right? This current system we're in is failing us. I don't even know if I want my kids to be going through the system. Especially, high school these days doesn't prepare you for the real world. University doesn't prepare you with any useful skills for the real world. It's just, it's for sure part of it is the system. Part of it is probably the government too, and the culture and everything else. But I don't think a solution is a radical rebuild. I think small shifts and changes can make big impacts. What's the prerequisite to join your mastermind in Costa Rica? What month were you thinking? Paul, I have no idea when we're going to go. Probably, I'll give you a heads up, it'd probably be sometime between December and March. Most likely in January or February. And cost-wise, I'm going to just pass on. I'm going to wrap it up as a ticket, and the ticket's going to cover basically, you're spending money for food, but like the accommodation and the private jet. If I wrap it as a ticket and sell it to you, it becomes tax deductible for both me and you. So that's a win when we make it into a business trip, and we're all about growing and as opposed to everyone finding their own way there. It's also really cool to have our own private jet. I think that'd just be a sick experience. I've never been on a private jet in my life. I grew up poor, right? Like Rosehart's never ridden on a private jet. So that's something I want to do. It's on my bucket list. I thought, what better way than to, reduce the cost? It's really expensive. You take a 6-person private jet to like Costa Rica or somewhere, you're gonna pay like $20,000 a person potentially. It can be that expensive depending on what sort of jet you get. But if you get a larger jet, like a 20-person jet or a 25-person jet, my own family's 5 tickets right there, right? So I can easily sell 10 tickets just to my friends and family. There's 10 right there. Now we only need another 10 more, and we can get the cost down into a few $1,000s a ticket. Potentially, I gotta shop deals and see what's out there. But let's say it was $100,000 for a 20-person jet. It's $5,000 a person. That's not so bad, to not have to sit in an airport, to not have to go through all that crap and that testing and all that stuff, right? You get to boycott all that flying private. Rules don't apply to the rich, as it appears, and the same way they do to the commercial, aviation industry. So it'd be a cool experience. I think it'd just be fun to go. And while we're there, we'll check out a bunch of properties and we'll learn about the local real estate. And maybe we'll, get together and we'll invest in some stuff down there. Maybe everyone will get together and we'll all buy a property wherever we go. 20 of us will get together and we'll joint venture something, maybe. That'd be fun. Why not? Throughout the trip, we'll go look at a bunch of properties, we'll pick something, we'll buy it, and we'll all just, chip in a few grand and buy something. That'd be cool, out of the experience. So there's lots of opportunity that can come out of that. And this could be an annual thing that we do every year. Maybe some of us will move down there, whatever. There's exactly, Mr. Pipkin. Maybe we buy a resort down there. And next year we fly down our private jet to our resort that we own. And so there's lots of opportunities like that where we can get together as a network and do some cool stuff. So that's what it's about. That's the fun of it. That was where the idea came from. It'd be cool to make it, an annual mastermind or something that we're all part of, and a group of us that are all on a similar mission. So yeah, you got to build your tribe, right? You got to get your people who are all on the same page together and do some cool stuff. I think what's the point in having all this money if I can't enjoy it? So I want to travel. I want to enjoy. I want to do fun things. And I genuinely enjoy going with a group. It'd be fun, I think, more than even going by myself or going with just my family. I think it'd be more fun to have the business pieces attached to it. That's just who I am. Like, I just have fun, checking out like real estate as opposed to like just sitting in a hotel on a beach. I would do that too. That's, you gotta do that too while you're there, but you do that for 2 days and you're like, okay, now I need a break. Let's go check out the countryside. Like, let's go see what's up locally in this, wherever we are. So I don't know. Someone says Monaco. I have to check out Monaco. I don't know much about it. Someone send me a list of like maybe the top 10 and I'll do some, or someone maybe who follows me can do some research on this, or if you already have an expert that you can rope into this, I'd love to hear more. Tax haven, super important. Safety, super important. The Cayman Islands continues to come up in the top 3, but yeah. Okay, some more questions here. Let's see. People are the system. Mastermind, talked about that a second ago. Try so hard to provide people with information and game, but they just don't absorb it. Yeah, I mean, I used to shout it from the mountaintops at work. At school, I would shout it from the mountaintops. You know, I literally had friends at Ivy who were like, "You're retarded. This is stupid. You're not gonna retire at 24, Mike." Like, this is like 18-year-old Mike's like, "Hey, I'm gonna retire at 24. I got this cool idea that like there's these guys in their 30s who are retiring early." I was at the start of the movement, right? This is like 2010, and I'm shouting from the mountaintops like, "Hey, like, there's this thing called financial independence, retiring early." It was just called like ERE back then. And I'm like, no one was talking about it. There was no YouTube videos. There was like a couple rogue blogs. And I was at the start of that movement. I was like, hey, there's this idea that you just make a few slight tweaks to your lifestyle and you become a millionaire and you can retire early. Like anyone can do it in their 20s or 30s. And everyone's like, no, that's stupid. Like, you don't understand, Mike. Wait till you have kids. I'm like, I had kids. I had my first child at 22. And then they're like, oh, Mike, like, you don't understand. Like, you're in a stable relationship. I'm like, and then I point to like the 10 other people who are in stable relationships who are also up to their eyeballs in debt. It doesn't matter. There's always an excuse why they can't, why they won't. Hopefully, you're one of the people watching. If you are watching, then you're making a change, right? You're starting to embrace frugality. You're starting to focus on side hustling to earn more money. That's really the important piece, right? In the beginning, it's all about saving. But once you've increased your income above, say, 6 figures, now it's about where do you invest that capital that you're starting to throw aside. And then you can really start doing some really awesome things. It's getting the snowball started that's the hardest for most people. And I think that's where it's a big mentality shift, a big cultural problem. Most people want to upgrade their house before they're ready. Most people want to, get the latest and greatest iPhone. I still have a crappy iPhone. I have an iPhone 8 that's junk. I need a new iPhone. I've had this iPhone 8 for forever and it's trash. But that's part of it. Like, and my net worth's huge and I make a ton of money. Like, a new iPhone's nothing. Just the time to go get one. But that's part of who I am. That's part of what got me here. And it's less important now because I make so much that I really can't save my way to becoming a billionaire. The journey now to becoming a billionaire over the rest of my life is more about investment returns. But more important than being a billionaire, I think, in my stage, where I'm at, is enjoying life, is doing things that I want to do. And part of that is, going on elite masterminds where we rent a private jet and fly somewhere, or moving to a tax haven and trying it out. Maybe Portugal. A lot of people talk about Portugal. With their golden visa, apparently, crypto-wise, there's no taxes there on the crypto stuff. I haven't looked into it, but I've heard that said. I don't know if it's true or not, but there's some really cool things with foreign income you can take into Portugal in your first 10 years there, and it's like very low tax. You get an EU passport, so you could travel all over Europe. Lots of cool things you could do in your life, and I don't know, I think part of the next 10-year chapter. I'm 28 years old right now, and I've been busting my ass for the last 11 years. I moved out on my own at 17, and it's been a long 11-year grind. And I've worked hard, 2 full-time jobs, pretty much till I was like, for the first 7-8 years, like I grinded 100 hours a week more sometimes. And that's just, now I need to enjoy the fruits of those labors. And so if you guys want to come along on the journey and be part of it, have some fun, let's do it. That's cool. At the Rosehart Resort, force people to intermittent fast. Food served only 8 hours a day. Stephen, each person their own, but I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. I've been intermittent fasting now for almost 3 years, and I only eat in an 8-hour window. Sometimes I only eat in a 4-hour window. It's hella efficient. I wake up in the morning, I have great energy levels. I'm not hungry at all. I never break fast for breakfast. You never break fast in the morning, first thing. You break fast in the evening. After a hard, a long day's work, you reward yourself with whatever you want to eat. You can eat anything you want in that 8-hour window, and you will not gain weight. I don't go to the gym. I want to start going to the gym, but I don't go to the gym at all. And like at any given moment, this is intermittent fasting. Anytime, all the time. Like that's just the lifestyle. If you embrace that, your health will improve. So I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting, and I've been screaming that from the mountaintops. It's one of the greatest ways to have clarity in the morning and the afternoon. You don't get that sluggishness after breakfast. You don't get that sluggishness after lunch, that slowdown, especially if you're doing physical active tasks. Ketosis and autophagy, look those things up. Look up autophagy. It literally is the cleaning of dead cells in your brain, in your body. Autophagy won I believe it was like a Nobel Peace Prize. That stuff's next level. After 16 hours of fasting, you're in ketosis, you start to go into autophagy. That's how you heal yourself from cancer. That's how it's just the best thing you can do. And I'm under a super high cortisol level all the time because I run a super stressful life running all these businesses that I'm involved in. Like I need to do less, but fasting is one of the things that helps me stay healthy with a busy lifestyle. When I don't have time to go to the gym or work out, I know that I'm eating well and I'm focused on, going through ketosis and autophagy, and your body gets used to it. So yeah, BJ says flip a resort, 100%. That could be something really cool we could all do. And it could pay for the next year's mastermind. We could sort of keep something going and everyone could work together on project managing it. I don't know how we would delineate roles or what we would do. Maybe we would obviously hire people down there, but maybe there's something we could do there. That'd be cool too. I actually wouldn't mind getting my hands dirty, like spending a month or two doing something. That'd be cool. Slobberknocker, what a name. What a handle. Says, currently investing with some leverage. With interest rates so low, I don't see myself paying the loan off anytime soon. All extra money is going back into the market. Thoughts on when to repay loans. So with Interactive Brokers, you can borrow right now at 1.5%, even less if you have a substantial amount of capital. That's cheap. That's prime minus 1.2%, let's call it. 1.25% under prime, almost free money. I also am using leverage in my stock portfolio and using leverage, of course, in my real estate portfolio. I want to use leverage in a real estate portfolio without being actively involved or tied to the property. So I'm shifting to a lower return, but I'm going to shift my real estate physical holdings into both flipping, which is, again, a great way to generate income. You make a lot of money in real estate on the buy. You make very little on the hold, right? You make way more on the buy. But that said, we're in an interesting environment that is unique in the sense that we have 6 to 10% inflation right now. And the government's actively trying to print their way out of catastrophe. And as they print more money, they devalue the currency. And guess what? If you've borrowed any money, when you pay that money back, it's worth less. So the bank is lending right now, and they can't raise interest rates because they're in so much debt, that they're forcing interest rates down, say 1.5% or 1% interest rates. The banks are losing money. Let's say inflation's really like, 3% or 4% or 5%. It'll probably stabilize. For the last few months, it really spiked because of COVID, but it's a situation where if you go borrow on an asset 5 to 1, and that asset appreciates 20%, you make 100% on your money. So, if you get 20% appreciation over, say, even 4 years, 5% a year, boom, you made 100% return on your money in 4 years. That's awesome. That's the power of real estate. You can also do that in the stock market through leveraging. You gotta be very careful leveraging the stock market. Make sure you're very diversified. Make sure that you have left some room on your margin that in case you get margin called. A lot of things to prepare for. Don't be like me and go YOLO on a trade. I was having a weird day and I went balls deep in Newegg and I shorted that. And I was right, by the way. The stock has crashed back down. I started shorting it at $20 and it's now $14 a share. It went from $20 the next day after I shorted it. It went to $33 and I shorted it again harder. This is retarded. This company is going to come back down. I'll be able to hold. I didn't know that they would freeze my margin. I didn't know that they would margin call and liquidate my entire portfolio. I didn't realize that the margin requirements changed when something gets squeezed. And so they forced me to cover. I thought my calculations were wrong. And I thought, worst case, it goes to like $40. It went to $70 and I got squeezed at $70 and was forced to liquidate. That sucked. And the next day, it obviously started crashing back down. I was right, but when you're shorting, you gotta define your short. I didn't do that, made a lot of critical mistakes, and lost $1.55 million in one day. Whatever, it's okay. You go check that video out. I talked about the learning lessons for an hour, but what I learned from that. But you know what's more important? I came back from that. I'm ready to shave this off in less than a week. I've come back from that major portfolio crash. Most people don't come back from losses like that. If you drop 40% in your portfolio, you need 80% to come back. Right? If you have $100 stock, it goes down to 50, that's a 50% drop, right? 50% loss. You need 100% gain to come back from a 50% loss. Think about that. Losses are very painful. So definitely something I've learned, but I've come back from it and I'm stronger and better for it. So yeah, leverage is good. Just be careful. Diversity is important. No more than 2-3% in one position. I gotta wrap this stream up though. It's my daughter's bedtime almost. Mr. Pippin says St. Bart, St. Vincent, Cayman Islands, Panama. I hear good things about Panama too. I haven't explored St. Bart or St. Vincent. Currently investing with some leverage. We did that one. Mike, have you thought about just renting up some space in a nice Toronto hotel and hold a bunch of think tank type stuff? And yes, you could charge us. Carla, sure. But what fun would that be? That would be a job for me. I would have to drive to Toronto, sit in shitty traffic, and then spend all day working at a mastermind. That isn't something I'm interested in. You can pay me $1 million. You want to offer me $1 million a year to do that job? Declined. Not interested. $10 million a year? No. $100 million a year, I would do that job for a couple of years. For sure I would. Money still has a pull. I put myself in uncomfortable situations for that amount of money. But, you know, just in general, I think going somewhere fun is more the point here. And making it all a business at the same time, that's awesome. That's where you can get some write-offs and tax deductions, all that kind of stuff too. So, yeah. All that stuff eventually doesn't matter though. What do tax deductions matter when there is no tax in the tax haven? So eventually tax deductions don't matter. We can go back to being frugal. You gotta live life and enjoy life too though. Hippie Mippy says, Panama is dangerous. I'm an ex-CIA there. St. Bart's is weird. People with nudist families. Cayman Islands is good, but still might be dangerous for a person of your color. Monaco, it is. Monaco. Okay, interesting. So Hippie Mippy says, Monaco. I have to check that out. Still dangerous for a person of my color. White. European. Yeah, I mean, really, it's true. There's risk. Everywhere you go, there's risk. Fair points. Obviously, I dig deep on this stuff, but I hadn't checked in on about Monaco. So, the message got deleted. That's cool. Thank you for typing that comment, though. I appreciate that. All right, I think I got through all the comments. Looks like tonight. Great lessons and losses. James says he wants to do a coaching session. Something about strategy. I rarely do coaching sessions. It feels more like work to me. I know a lot of people in the space like to do this stuff. I'll do the occasional one. Like if I'm driving somewhere by myself and I just want to keep busy for an hour, I love to just call someone who's on my backlog. I got a lot of people who want to do coaching calls, or I'll just put on my Instagram stories and see who's available. So watch my stories. I'm like Rosehart. And if you see I'm just like mossing out on a drive somewhere, that's when I'm most likely to want to do a coaching call, because it then aligns. It's not really about the money. It's kind of cool when you can have fun doing something and get paid for it. So that's where I like to align it. But sitting in my office, like doing calls, nah, I'm good. That feels like a job. So if there's an opportunity where I can do it and I'm forced to sit inside of a cubicle or a car and I have nothing else going on, love to do a call. Yishi, hey, how's it going? Do I ever take profits on stocks? Sure, yeah, I always take profit on stocks. I'm not a hodler. I don't got the diamond hands. At best, these hands are like cardboard. They're not paper hands, but like, I definitely don't have diamond hands. I wish I did. Every time I sell a stock, it just moons. That's just how it works for me. But it's important to take profits. What I needed work on was taking losses and knowing when to take a loss in the chin. At a 5 or 10% pullback, you take that loss in the chin, you cut your losses. You always get back in if you want. But I didn't, and I wrote it down 1,000% negative on a squeeze on neg in one day, 1,000% negative. You know how hard it is to come back from 1,000% negative? You need 2,000% positive to come back on that trade. No, I had to come back with other plays more carefully. I don't want to lose my entire portfolio, so I can't take that kind of risk. It was very hard to come back from trades like that. But yeah, that's why it's important to invest for long term. Don't short squeeze. Don't engage in shorting at all unless you define your top and bottom, your stop loss. Don't get into a naked short. That's scary. Just stay out of that stuff. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I gotta take my kids into bed. Hit me up on Instagram, Mike Rosehart, if you're interested in doing something with the private jet. Let's go have some fun. Maybe Monaco is where we gotta go. I don't know. I gotta look into this more. But it feels like in the next 5 years, unless something drastically changes in Canada, I'll be leaving. If you're staying in Canada, that's cool. You can still come visit me. I'll have a resort. I'll be hosting people to come visit. It'll be fun. I'll still be in Canada probably 4 or 5 months a year. My family's here. So I'll be back in Canada. I just won't be a tax resident here. As long as I'm here less than 6 months, I can come visit Canada anytime. I'll probably keep my passport as a non-tax resident. So I love Canada. It's a beautiful country. I was born here and I love it. But anyway, I'll see you guys all next week and on the live stream every Wednesday, 7 to 8 p.m. Remember, the secret to unlocking wealth through you. 3 levers. Been saying this now for 4 years on the channel. Spend less, earn more, and maximize returns on the difference. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Hippie Mippy. Appreciate your feedback on that. Exactly. Just don't want to be a tax resident here, especially if you're in the higher income brackets. Bye, everyone. See you next week.